Down in the swamp where the Gators chomp is where you will find College Game Day this weekend ahead of the showdown between the 12th-ranked Aggies and 3rd-ranked Florida. Both these teams have, by and large, kind of devoured opponents in a generationally difficult SEC. Hold on, is that Morris? Is that Morris? Chubbs, look out. Fans are ready inside the O-Dome as we welcome you to Countdown to Game Day, covered by State Farm. Alongside Harry Lyles Jr., I am Sam Ravech, Gator Chomp. That's right, Lyles. I mean, down the stretch they come. Happy March, by the way. Everybody watching on YouTube, hit us up in the comments, live chat. We'll try to keep an eye on that as the show goes along. But a lot of those fans that were just doing the Gator Chomp right there weren't even alive for the last time that they won back-to-back championships in 06 and 07. But you remember those teams, right? Al Horford, Corey Brewer. I mean, those were some legendary teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, so good that it was a debate as to whether or not a lot of those guys would even come back for another year to try to, win another championship, and ultimately they did do that. And I just remember how consistent and exciting that those teams were. Like, those Florida Gator teams, like we know of the Al Horfords, right, the Joakim Noahs. Corey Brewer obviously spent a lot of time in the NBA, but it was always interesting watching them. You never knew who was going to pop off. Like, there are some Corey Brewer games that I can remember watching, just thinking like, oh my gosh, like this dude is one of the best players I've ever seen.
Most outstanding player, I think, in one of those Final Fours. But 29 hours ago, a lot of the fans were lining up outside of Gate 3, outside the O-Dome, and they have now made their way inside the O'Connell Center there, and that's where we are joined by Andraya Carter. Dre, appreciate you hopping on with us. What do we got there, Dre?
Well, okay, so I'm sure you all had some questions for me, but my little man here needs a name. So if y'all want to name him, he's actually wiggling a little bit. Do you want him? Y'all want to name this guy?
What do you think,
doesn't have a name,
Gotta
so
name him
he needs a
Horford.
name.
Horford? Yeah.
Horford.
After
I
Al
don't know if he likes
Horford.
the camera. Don't make him nervous now.
Horford looks a little bit nervous.
Yeah, not bite.
Well,
Horford.
I mean,
it's Horford. We have a bigger one.
Oh my God.
Okay, yeah, see?
This
is the content you needed.
Oh my God.
You got to be careful there. I mean, we got the Gators out early in the morning ahead of this huge showdown, Dre. While you're holding Horford, give us a thought on the game tonight.
I think Florida's going to be fired up coming off of a loss, right? They've always bounced back and won after a loss, and usually won by a high margin. So watching this Florida team and the electric offense I just talked about on SportsCenter, the three-headed monster of the guards. I love watching these three guards play together and play off of each other. Walter Clayton Jr., Will Richard, Elijah Martin, those three. I'm excited to watch them. Obviously, Texas A&M has a veteran guard in Wade Taylor, but watching Florida operate on the offensive end, I'm excited for it. And they can stretch the defense with their ability to knock down threes. I think that's going to be huge.
All right, so that's Corey Brewer right next to Horford there. What do they eat? I'm curious. What do they eat?
Chicken meat, and the fans say Aggies.
Aggies, they eat Aggies, yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Very good, Dre. Appreciate it. Looking forward to College Game Day today with Horford.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, so from one Gator to another, Lyles, maybe one of the most decorated athletes to ever set foot on campus in Gainesville, Ryan Lochte joining the show now. Ryan, appreciate you hopping up, getting up early with us on Countdown. Appreciate it.
Yes, thanks you for having me.
No, listen, you were there when, like, the craze, we were just talking about the 06 and 07 teams. What was the vibe like on campus when you were there?
Oh, we were untouchable. It was anywhere you turn on your TV, anywhere you go, it was UF Gators. And just being a part of that, part of the University of Florida, it was just amazing. Like, not many people could say that. Like, football, basketball, like, it's just unbelievable.
And you're one of the most decorated SEC athletes of all time. What makes that conference so great? And also, what was one of your favorite places to compete at within that conference?
My favorite place, well, after my freshman year, like, my coaches said, no matter what, wherever team you go to, wherever place you go to, stick it to them. Make sure they know that you're representing University of Florida. And I try to make sure. So, like, my favorite places were every place. I just made sure I put University of Florida on the map. And I loved it. I loved being part of University of Florida. It's a legacy, and we're so dominant in every sport. And, like, this year is University of Florida's year, I feel like. We're like one of the top five schools in every sport right now, so it's pretty awesome.
And I want to pull back on that stick it to him, Fred, because I know there's a good story in there. Give me the best stick it to him that you ever gave. I want the unfiltered version. Let's hear it. Like, who'd you really stick it to?
All right. So back in 2005, my junior year, we were hosting SECs at University of Florida. And for swimming, the main team was Auburn. And we were doing the 200 backstroke, and it was going into finals, and they were going down. You know how in each lane they go late heat one, like lane one, you have Auburn, Tigers, blah, blah, blah. And then I was in like lane 5, Ryan Lochte, Gators. And I looked over, and they said the next person, the top person, he was top in the nation. He goes to the crowd like this because he had a beard, but he didn't like shave. He shaved the rest of his body. And he went like this to the crowd, like rubbing it in like, oh, I got this. I don't need to shave. And then I looked over to Anthony Nesty, which is the head coach now. I looked over to him. And I'm like, nope, he's done. He's done. So we dove in. We were going into the last lap. I touched the wall. I destroyed everyone. I got out of the pool, walked over to his lane. By the time I did that, he was just finishing. I was like, hey, good job. And then I got up on top of the blocks. I did the Gator chop. I was like, yes, let's go. I still get goosebumps about like feeling that like energy and everything. I was like, yep, don't mess with a Gator.
I feel like doing the Gator chomp in somebody's face is one of the best, like, that's like the most iconic celebration you could probably do.
You're like, you're done. You're meat. You're meat.
You're right. Exactly. And look, iron sharpens iron, right? And you were a member of one of the greatest Olympic teams and Olympic moments in U.S. history. So what was it like? I know you're a competitive guy, but what was it like to be just a part of that?
You know, it's something amazing when you're representing your university, but it's something even bigger when you're representing your country at the biggest stage in sports. And just being a part of that, like, I just remember getting my first Olympics. I was getting my Olympic cap, and it had Lochte on it. And I was like, right here, this is probably the best thing right now is getting this American flag cap with Lochte on it. I was like, I already think I already won gold.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And I remember coming home from my first Olympics, which is Athens, Greece in 2004. Coming home, I swear I had half the university at the airport waiting for me to get off and congratulating me because I got a gold and silver. I was like, this is family right here. And that is why I'm back in Gainesville now. So, I mean, once you're a Gator for life. And I love this place. This is home.
Legendary. Ryan, really appreciate you joining us this morning. Are you gonna tune into the game tonight? I mean, Florida's got a good basketball team this year.
I gotta do a little swim clinic teaching kids how to swim first.
Okay.
But I'm definitely gonna tune in. I mean, we're on fire.
Yeah.
And we just gotta keep the ball rolling, and we're gonna make it to the end, I feel like.
No doubt. No doubt. Ryan, really appreciate it again. Best of luck and with everything you're doing, and hope to have you on again. We appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
That's Ryan Lochte. Yeah, 12-time Olympic medalist. I mean, that is amazing. And you said it, one of the most decorated athletes in general.
I think also, just like speaking, it's cool that obviously you compete on an SEC level, but you know, he talked about the Athens Olympics in 04. I mean, to compete on a world stage like that is just one of the most badass things you can do in sports.
And to be able to do Gator chomp in somebody's face, that's always
that was great.
That's pretty good. All right, back by popular demand is going to be our little shot clock segment here, Lyles. We're going to start with you having the ball, 25 seconds, 3 topics, and then we got our trusty buzzer here.
Yes.
In case one of us wants to chime in, so a big 25 there. And we will start, as we just mentioned, Florida kind of failed their midweek exam going up against Georgia.
Yes.
And a hungry Georgia team, by the way, that's looking to get into the NCAA tournament. But is that win, does it say more about Georgia and where they're going on the bubble, or does it say more about Florida and where they're going?
So look, I think you certainly could make it a Florida thing. I'm going to make it a Georgia thing, because if we're going to say that the SEC is not just the best conference in college basketball, but one of the best conferences of all time, you can't then poo-poo on Florida when they lose to a team in conference play. So I'm going to give Georgia credit here. They trailed by 26 in this game and still almost won it too. So you can give Florida credit for that, but the fact that Georgia came out and beat this Florida team, you got to give them credit for that.
I think it would have been one of the biggest comebacks like ever in the history of SEC basketball.
Yes, there's only been one time that it's happened before. It was 1994 Kentucky over LSU.
It was close. Yeah. It was close. All right, the coaching carousel continues to spin. And at one point this season, we thought that Hubert Davis would be on that carousel. But as it turns out, not only did he just sign an extension to stay at UNC, but they have also hired former NBA agent Jim Tanner to come in and be the GM of this program, Lyles. So is Hubert Davis the right guy for the Carolina job?
He can be if they let him be. Now, that's not to say that the things that have gone wrong with this program up to this point are, not his fault. Like, certainly there are missteps along the way, both on and off the floor, but I think he has taken this job in one of the two hardest versions of it. One post-Roy, obviously, the other one being versus against post-Dean Smith.
Yeah.
And then in this NIL Porta era. So to be doing that in this time, look, he has shown that this team could be great. He could get the most out of a team like he did when they beat Duke in the Final Four.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about, hey, we're going to put this buyout money towards, hey, why isn't that money going to the program? So, yes, he could be the guy.
All right. I'm hitting the buzzer here. I'm getting a defensive rebound. I'm going to credit Gary Parrish here because he said it, but it's a great point. North Carolina is one of, if not the best jobs in all of college basketball. So the question that Carolina fans should be asking is, do you have the best coach in college basketball? We'll see. I mean, still yet to be figured out. All right, Gonzaga, a team that we just really haven't talked about much this season, in large part because this is probably one of the more frustrating seasons Mark Few has had as the coach there. They have made the NCAA tournament 25 years in a row.
Crazy.
Will they make it 26? Because I don't think fans understand. They are dangerously close to missing it.
I think that they'll make it. But even if they do, I think that is sort of missing the bigger picture here. This is a Gonzaga team. Making the tournament was cute at the beginning of that 25-year stretch. But they're kind of going the wrong way. They went from being a 1 seed in 4 or 5 NCAA tournaments since 2017. They haven't been a real threat since 2022. So when I look at Gonzaga, for me, it's less about, hey, are we going to make the tournament? It's more of, hey, has our window closed?
Quick, another defensive rebound, Shelby. We got to hit this.
Just crash the glass.
Look, you remember that 21 championship?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They got demolished. They didn't even belong on that court. And I think that the descent kind of started there, and it's been all downhill. So we'll see what happens. But, all right, that's Gonzaga. Lyles, explain your shirt, please.
Yeah, I am wearing a sleeved Evansville Aces uniform. Evansville is known for wearing sleeved basketball jerseys. They introduced them in 1947 under legendary coach A-Rod McCutcheon. They wore them until he retired in 1977. This year is the 60th anniversary of one of the best college basketball teams of all time, the 64-65 Aces, led by Larry Humes and a guy a lot of you at home know, Jerry Sloan, as well, for his NBA acumen. They went undefeated that season. They included wins over Purdue, Northwestern, Notre Dame, and Iowa, who, mind you, Sam, that Iowa team beat the champions of major college basketball that year, UCLA. And they also beat Southern Illinois 3 times that year. They were one of the great small college basketball teams with Walt Frazier. They also beat North Dakota that year that had Phil Jackson. But
wow,
a lot of history at the University of Evansville in their basketball program. The 64-65 team, genuinely, would not go as far as to say they could have beaten UCLA. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But obviously, when you look at the major college teams that they beat in that season, just one of the best college basketball teams of all time in a storied program, the second most Division II national championships of all time for the University of Evansville. So just wanted to honor them since this is my last show of the season.
Yeah.
Had to put on for the Aces.
Well, and I mean, you think about Indiana as a state basketball state, right? I think you think about Indiana, you think about Purdue, but Evansville, Purple Aces, they've been getting it for a while in that state.
They have. Yeah. And I think it's about time though, Sam.
Switch possessions?
Yeah, we got to switch possessions here.
Let's go. Hit me.
Because I've been hogging the ball off and
on. No, I got a couple rebounds.
First one here, Duke assistant Jay Lucas.
Yes.
Looking like the front runner for the Miami job, a lucrative job, especially I would argue in the NIL era.
For sure.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, for those who don't know, Jay Lucas was on staff ever since John Shire got to Duke. He had spent time with Rick Barnes at Texas, Coach Cal at Kentucky. He's certainly ready for a head coaching job. He's also played a big role in getting the Boozer twins, though, to commit to Duke. Biggest question for me, if he takes the Miami job, do the Boozer twins, Cameron and Caden, flip their commitment and go to Miami? Because keep in mind, the Boozer twins grew up in Miami. They live in Miami. 5-star prospects, some of the best in college basketball coming into next year, so that'll be a big question following.
Yeah, if you have not seen those young men play, you absolutely need to do that. Moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
Louisville and Missouri.
Yeah.
2 just fantastic turnarounds this season, right? I mean, Pat Kelsey, you can't say enough about what he's done, especially given how just poor Louisville was compared to their standards.
Yeah.
Which has been the better turnaround to you?
Win-win for me. I'm going to go with Dennis Gates and Missouri for a couple of reasons, one of which being the conference that they play in the SEC. To go 0-18 in this conference last year and to flip it around to be a surefire NCAA tournament team is just unbelievable. Head coach Dennis Gates didn't fire the entire staff. He didn't go into the portal and get 15 new players. He kept, in large part, the same team that he had a year ago. 5 players in his current rotation, including 3 starters as holdovers. I'm going to get an offensive rebound because The Athletic wrote a great story on Dennis Gates and this Missouri turnaround. In June of last year, Coach Gates literally had all of the coaches switch offices. They took everything out of their offices, switched the offices around, even repainted, changed the feng shui of the whole place, and they wanted to go in with a fresh start. And it really turned out to be a great decision.
It worked, man.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes you just need a refresher.
Right.
And also, some of the best uniforms in college basketball right now. Holy cow.
Big game today.
Last one. Diana Taurasi, it's UConn. I'm just going to cede the floor to you, please.
Diana Taurasi announcing her retirement. Man, I mean, one of the first sporting events I remember going to as a kid was in 2003-2004 season of the women's season at UConn. And watching Diana Taurasi and DT do her thing, I mean, got to remember, UConn only had 1 national title before she arrived on campus in 1995. I mean, 1. And then they ripped off, all those in a row. So along with being a 3-time NCAA champ, 3-time WNBA champ, all-time leading scorer in the W, she is also the first player that I remember trying to emulate in my backyard.
I need
some time here?
Because, look, people are trying to, in the women's game, talk about Breanna Stewart. Obviously, a lot of hype around Caitlin Clark and how perhaps what she could be.
Right.
That is the standard right there. Diana Taurasi, I mean, both from a collegiate perspective and a pro perspective, the GOAT of women's basketball, and it's not even close. Also, she is going to have a fantastic TV career because, my goodness gracious, the personality, the bite, fantastic.
Like dry humor.
Just great at everything that she does.
Just the GOAT. Yeah, just the GOAT. Speaking of, the entire SEC has been a GOAT on the men's side this year, and it'll continue all the way through March, more than likely.
How fun is this SEC league?
This team got the wrong team on the wrong day.
We're good enough to win every game on the road. We're good enough to lose every game at home. That's how good the league is.
It's a historically tough grind right now going on in the SEC.
Nobody won't give it, so we taking what's ours. Let's get it.
Favorite part of the show every week. Time now to bring in College Game Day's very own Jay Williams inside the O-Dome, joined by a friend of yours, Jay. Who do you got there with you?
I got Jeremiah with me right here, and his sign is pretty incredible. I did Aggie undergrad in pre-K, a future Gator, so the trash talking is real. Right, Jeremiah? Yes, I love it.
Love it, Jay. All right, let's talk about this game that all the fans are there to see. Florida and A&M, 2 teams with very different styles of play, but they also do one thing very well, and that is hit the offensive glass. How big of a battle will it be rebounding in this game, and how big will that play in determining the outcome?
Well, the one thing that you love about Texas A&M and Buzz Williams is the fact that they stack the paint, right? They obviously one of the leading teams in offensive rebounds in the entire country, but how do you combat that? You can combat that with the style in which Florida plays, that 4 out, 1 in, knocking down threes. And also Texas A&M is one of the worst in the country at giving up threes. And when you think about the combination of this trio of guards for Florida, they're averaging 45 points per game. Walter Clayton Jr. just might be the Steph Curry of college basketball with his range, okay? So you think about their style and their pace, which is the 4th fastest in the SEC, with how they play, a ton of ball screens, continuity in which Todd Golden likes to play. That could be the Achilles heel for Texas A&M. Those long rebounds could lead to more chances and opportunities for Florida on the offensive glass.
Jay, staying in the SEC, Kentucky is welcoming Auburn to Rupp this afternoon. What do the Wildcats have to do in order to pull off this upset?
I mean, what they haven't won there since like 1988, which is like shocking when you think about Auburn and Kentucky and that rivalry. I think the one thing that you have to love about Auburn is their versatility and how they can switch everything on the perimeter. And I think that's going to be the big challenge. Now, obviously, Kentucky has some players coming off injuries and how they will handle that. But the thing you love about Auburn is that it's, once again, their defense travels, and they can switch. They have the size, they have the length, and I think that size and the length, and ultimately playing through Janai Broome. If they can play through Janai Broome, I like Auburn, but Kentucky, with their style of play also, they have the third fastest pace in the SEC. If guys like Lamont Butler and Owe can knock down shots from the outside, Kentucky will have a chance to keep that incredible statistical stat going.
A lot of overrated chants for Janai Broome. I mean, what's going on in there, Jay?
I mean, look, I'm going to tell you guys something. Like, the SEC, obviously one of the most dominant conferences in the nation. And obviously, you think about Auburn. They're a team we talk about every single day. We talk about Duke every single day, and Cooper Flagg and its battle for National Player of the Year. But I'm going to tell you guys, like, I get a chance to see a lot of teams practice. I may mention it on SportsCenter. When I walked into the practice yesterday, this place was lit. I mean, I know that they're coming off a loss on the road to Georgia, but every single team in this conference is going to take their lumps. But their guards that they have here, and Will Condon is one of the top players in the country. You're seeing him rise up the draft boards. This team has a legitimate chance to cut down the nets in San Antonio, and this place is going to be live.
All right, let's see if we get some overrated chants when we talk about this next team, Jay. I hope not, because you and I share a soft spot for the old Big East. And what we have seen from St. John's and Rick Pitino, they are on the verge of winning the Big East for the first time in over 30 years. They've already clinched a share of it. Can you put into perspective how big of a turnaround this has been for the Johnnies, and with Rick Pitino doing it at the helm?
Well, obviously, I think for the program itself, I mean, when I played in school back in 1999 to 2002, guys like Bootsy Thornton, some of those guys that played there, they were having a miraculous year. And this is the most relevant they've been since then. But I'm going to, give a little shocker for everybody out there, because obviously I know that we're going to be talking about how incredible it is that St. John's is back in the national spotlight. This is nothing new for Rick Pitino. Look at the track record of how Nick Pitino is taking all of his teams and the way they've jumped in their records from year one to year two. It's really remarkable. When we think about the GOATs of college basketball, obviously we talk about names like John Wooden, Coach K, some of the best, but Rick Pitino's name belongs in that list of GOATs because he turns around programs after 1 year. It's truly remarkable, and they feed off of that. And by the way, it's so cool to see an old school type coach be rewarded in a new school type era in which he's not afraid to coach you hard. And trust me, when a coach stops yelling at you, that's what means he doesn't care anymore. Rick Pitino extracts the best out of his players each and every night.
Jay, you mentioned lists. Our Myron Metcalf for ESPN.com ranked all the champions of this century, and your 2001 Duke Blue Devils were #1 on the list. What made you guys great, in your opinion, not just as national champions, but also as a team that when a lot of people look back on that team as the standard of Duke basketball, or one of the standards of Duke basketball?
Well, we're going to talk about it here. I owe that to this Florida team in 2000. I got my ass kicked. I got beat up my freshman year. We went against Teddy Dupay, Mike Miller, Donnell Harvey, Udonis Haslam, UD, and I talk about all the time. And we got beat in the Sweet 16. And that summer, myself, Mike Dunleavy, Carlos Boozer, we all stayed. And I made around 500 to 600 made shots a day. And when we came back my sophomore year, it was a completely different situation. I mean, when you think about who we had on that team, I was the second pick in the draft. Mike Dunleavy was the third pick in the draft. Shane Battier was the fourth pick in the draft. Carlos Boozer was a perennial all-star. Dante Jones played 10-plus years in the league. Chris Duhon played 15-plus years in the league. We were just loaded, but we were together defensively. And we had maybe the best coach in the game extract the best out of us on a day-to-day measure. So it's great to be rewarded that way. But, I'm a national champion. It's something I get a chance to walk around every single day and say, this is how hard we had to work in order to achieve the ultimate goal. And nobody could ever take that away from me.
All right, Jay. Jeremiah's been waiting very patiently to get a shot off. So let's let him cook here in the O-Dome for a little bit.
Okay, wait, guys. Savannah made the first one.
Yes.
Now, Savannah took $200 from me. I got to give Savannah a lot of credit on this because a lot of fans are talking trash. Just going to put down the point. You ready, Jeremiah? We're going to make this shot. We're going to walk down to the gym, all right? We're going to walk down to the hoop. Now, look, I want you to hold on to the ball. I want you to believe in yourself, Jeremiah. These shots, don't worry about the fans. They don't matter. They're going to cheer you on, right? Yes, they're going to cheer you on, and I want you to use all of your might, and I want you to get this thing up there, okay? Hold on. I'm going to help you out, okay? Here we go. I want you to believe. It's for $100, Jeremiah. $100. You get it up there. You ready? What? Oh! You did a good job, though. Give me some. Give me some. You keep shooting, okay? You only miss the shots you don't take, Jeremiah. There you go.
All right, Jay.
He's ready. We're getting ready for the game.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Jeremiah will be dunking in the O-Dome before no time. Let's check out today's magic moment covered by State Farm. Number 4 Houston avenged their only Big 12 loss of the season Monday night against number 10 Texas Tech. They took them down 69-61. Not only are the Cougars getting at least a share of the Big 12 regular season title, but they are now the first team in over a century to join an existing major conference and win back-to-back regular season titles in their very first 2 years in that conference. The last team to accomplish that feat, Lyles, Idaho, in the Pacific Coast Conference back in 1921, 1922. So we definitely don't remember that. But
no.
Look, Kelvin Sampson has had a lot of accomplishments in his illustrious career. Is winning back-to-back regular season conference titles in the Big 12 like the best accomplishment so far?
I think so. And, I think some added context here. Obviously, we all remember Phi Slamma Jamma. They were playing in the Southwest Conference at the time. There's a huge gap between that team and what Kelvin Sampson is doing now. There's not a whole lot of success in between there. And mind you, they've made 2 other conference switches since then. They played in Conference USA, obviously the AAC, and then they win their first year in the Big 12 and then do it twice. So, I mean, just to me, like having done that, and really built up this program back to a place where, like in their glory days, they're pound for pound, like they're there. And so obviously this, I think, is his biggest accomplishment up to this point, though I think you and I would probably both agree he's got more in him.
No question. I mean, I think people are talking about Auburn, talking about Duke, and rightfully so.
Yep.
Houston has kind of slid under the radar, and they could very well be cutting down the nets by the end of March. But all of this was improbable at Houston. Houston made one NCAA tournament in the 21 years prior to Kelvin Sampson arriving on campus there. And not only are they going to win back-to-back regular season titles in the quote-unquote toughest conference in basketball, some still claim, but they're going to do it by multiple games. I mean, Lyles, they've won 5 of their last 6 regular season titles in both of the AAC and the Big 12. They should have won 6 out of 6. The one they didn't was in that weird COVID year when it was like they didn't play an equal amount of games and Wichita State had like a better winning percentage. But they were the best team in that conference that year. So like the stability in today's game to do what Kelvin Sampson is doing is so rare. It doesn't happen. And they're doing it in a little bit of an old school way. But that's his way.
Yeah, it is. And the thing that gives them a shot in this time of the year, right? Because his teams are going to do one thing always, and that is defend.
Right.
And then when it comes to March, 6 games. You got to be able to shoot the ball good enough, not great, good enough for 6 games, especially when you defend the way that his teams defend. So the fact that, again, that they've done this in this stretch, that experience for them is going to go a long way as they proceed, obviously, here into the month of March.
They got the defense, and now we know they can shoot the ball. So look out for Houston come March. That was today's Magic Moment covered by State Farm. Here's a look at your slate of games on this Saturday, March 1st. Auburn has not won at Kentucky, like Jay Will said, since 1988. Hard to believe that is the case. Number 6, Alabama at number 5, Tennessee. Dickie V on the call there, who will make their case for a 1 seed in Knoxville. And then number 22, Arizona, taking on number 9, Iowa State. Iowa State has lost 2 straight and 5 of the last 9 as they've been bitten a little bit by the injury bug. But that's going to do it for us. Lyles, the race is on to March Madness, and the race to 50 is on for you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
See, like that tee up I got you there?
Hey, I'm gonna be the best looking 50-year-old there is, though.
Yeah. I didn't know that we were that close to each other. Yeah, I turned 30 on Monday. They got to put the years up there, man.
Yeah, if you're in the YouTube chat, by the way, you hit us on Venmo.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
easy.
I will gladly take belated gifts.
Yeah.
In the form of currency.
We'll take in the form of anything really. We'll take any gifts you want to send our way. We'll mooch off you.
Most, not all.
We'll see what you send us. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for watching Countdown to Game Day, covered by State Farm. Enjoy the games. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Go Aces.
Nice. Got to hit him with the ace.
That's right.